Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where you give us your wonderful questions and we do our very best to give you at least a half-decent answer. This show has been running for over 400 episodes, so I'd like to think we've got the hang of it by now. And I'd like to think you've got the hang of how to get your question in. But just in case you still haven't, let's remind you of how you can get your question in on the show.
Yep, so easy. Just go to propertyhub.net/ask. You can either send in a voice message to be answered on the show or a written message to be answered in the Sunday Times. So whichever you prefer, you can get your question to us, just like Sam did.
Hi, my name's Sam and I'm from Nottingham. My husband is coming up to 55 this December and he's hoping to pull out a lump sum out of his pension, which he has invested very heavily into. He's made a lot of salary sacrifice in order that he's got a good pension pot building. However, I think he's going to be able to access around about £90,000 in a cash lump sum. And I'm trying to encourage him to invest in property. And it's just really, I know obviously you've got lots of tools on here. I've just recently discovered your podcast and think you guys are amazing. But it's trying to encourage, shall we say, my husband to make some smart investments in property rather than paying off a little bit of debt that we've got. I'd like to try and see how we can grow that pension into something that's going to be good for our future. So yeah, thanks for your podcast, guys. I've only listened to half a dozen so far, but loving it so far. Thank you.
Hi, Sam. Thank you for your question. Wow, tough one, because you are asking somebody to do something that they're clearly not quite ready to do. And investing in property is a big deal. There's a whole reason why we got the podcast on this, because it is big. It's a big investment. You can't invest in property with a little bit of money, despite what some say. It's a big deal in terms of what you're committing to personally as well, because you are renting a home to someone else. I'm not trying to over-exaggerate the experience, but I think it's important to remember it's more than just buying a really good deal. Getting a good deal is absolutely part of it, but it's only a part. The ownership is a big thing, and it can be great, but sometimes your experience can be challenging. That's property. It's just part of the game. But is your husband ready for that game? And does he have the right type of personality? Is your husband the type of person to lay awake at night because the tenant has got a broken tap and is complaining about it, or that they've not paid rent 1 month? These things can happen. Won't be all the time, but it will happen at some point. And if your husband is a worrier and doesn't cope well with those stressful situations, then I think it would be tough to get him to invest in property, because at some point there will be challenges. Now, you do have to have the right personality for it, and the fact that you listen to the podcast suggests you do, but you'd need your partner in crime to get on board as well. If you feel that it is something that he would be okay with if he actually took the leap, then maybe it's education. Maybe it's giving him podcasts or videos, depends on what type of media he likes to consume, or a book, and give him that as a present and say, okay, here, I'd like you to look at this and take it seriously. Now, if they still don't want to invest after that, well, then I think you just have to respect that as a decision. But if you feel they've got the right personality, start with education, because after funds, the biggest thing that holds people back in property is fear. And education can help overcome the fear and the unknown. So that could be the way to go. So if your husband likes books, buy him one of Rob's books. If he likes podcasts, obviously the podcast. But you've got loads of options. Educate your way out of that fear. But fundamentally, if your husband's personality is that he's a worrier, you need to look at other options. Now, you can still have exposure to property via a REIT, and that is something you can look at, because that is completely hands-off, and you can just invest in a fund, and you won't hear about the nightmare tenants and so on. There are pros and cons, like with every investment, but that could be a way forward if you are really committed to exposure to the property market, but can't quite get there to do full-out ownership. That could be a way of achieving at least some of the things that you want. Sorry, Sam, I know there's no silver bullet here. There's no, oh, if you do this, then suddenly he'll turn around. But hopefully some of the guidance I've given you will give you something to think about and hopefully action.
Okay, let's have a listen to our next question.
Hi guys, love the channel. I'm a property lawyer in London and I have just been given a job offer for Dubai, so I should be moving out there. I have a flat in London, which I will now be renting out for £2,200 a month, and it has a small mortgage of £130,000 on it. And I've got a buy-to-let in the West Midlands, which I rent out for £1,550 a month with a £260,000 mortgage on it, interest only. I'm coming into some money next year, circa £200,000, and I'm wondering whether I should pay off a bit of both mortgages, pay off fully one mortgage if I can, or perhaps buy another investment property and get a more rental income. Love to hear from you. Thanks.
Thank you for your question and congratulations on your new job. So I think there are 2 points to make here. A specific point around mortgages and a more general one about strategy. So specifically when it comes to mortgages, you're going to become an expat. So that will affect your ability to refinance in future, your ability to take on future mortgages. It won't necessarily affect it in a strongly negative way, but it will make a difference. The good news is that you're going to a country that's very popular with expats. Lenders are very confident with it. If you're taking a job at a recognized company, you're probably not going to have too many problems. But I would strongly encourage you to speak to your mortgage broker now to find out how that affects your existing loans. Do you need to talk to your lender about this now? And how is it going to affect your ability to take on mortgages in future? We work with loads and loads of expats. Getting mortgages generally not a problem, but it is something you need to know about. And the sooner you do that, the better. The second point is about goals and strategy, because the options that you've given here as possibilities are complete opposites. So on the one hand, you're saying, should I pay down or pay off a mortgage? On the other, you're saying, well, should I buy more? It's like, well, which is it? Those are two very different things. Either could be right for you, but they take you in different directions. So having established where you stand with mortgages, I'd strongly suggest that you sit down and have a think about your goals. What is it that you ultimately want property to do for you? Where are you trying to end up in life in general? And where does property fit into that? How can it help? And making a big life move as you are going abroad, probably not a bad time to start thinking about that stuff because your life is going to be changing. I'm sure it's going to be a positive thing for you. But what do you ultimately want? I know that takes you a very long way from, oh, should I pay down this mortgage or not? But it's really important because once you know that, you can then work back from there and assess everything in terms of, okay, does this action move me closer to that goal or further from that goal? And until you have that goal in mind and you know what it is you're trying to do, it's impossible to make the right decision because you don't know what you're really aiming for. So that's how I would think about it. Get clear on the mortgage point first. And once you've done that, have a think, consider the big picture, work out what it is you're ultimately aiming for. And once you've done that, I think everything should start to look a lot clearer.
And hopefully it's clear to you that you should join us on Thursday for the Property Podcast, because I do not want you to miss out on what is going to be an awesome episode. And remember, we're in the Times on Sunday, the Sunday Times, in the home section. Check out us answering your questions there as well. Until then, take care, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.